Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how you folks doing? Welcome here, and welcome back to another edition of the UnNamed Wrestling Podcast. We got the whole gang back here yet again. Botch Guy is joining us, CWrestling is joining us, and we're going to be talking all about wrestling here today. Botchy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing? I'm watching the NHL free agency.
Oh yeah, you big old Nux fan over there. They doing well so far? You liking the squad?
Yeah, I'm liking what they're doing. Our defense is pretty trash, but our forward group is sick.
And CWrestling, how's your hockey team doing over there?
We don't have a hockey team. We don't do sport. Unless it's soccer, we don't do it over here. So
soccer or bust for you, man. Oh, man. But tonight we're going to be talking about Charlotte Flair, and is she that good in the wrestling world? We're also going to talk about CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, possibly going on over to AEW, and then anything else that we happen to mention. So, Botch Guy, I'm going to start right with you here today, because we only have a certain amount of time. Do you like Charlotte Flair and what she is doing currently in the WWE?
I've always been a fan of Charlotte Flair. I'm like one of the only fans of Charlotte Flair. So yes, I like what she's doing. The fact is she lost the title right after, after she won it. So people can't be too pissed off about that. But like, let's be completely honest. When Charlotte Flair shows up, people do react. They react either negatively, they react either like hilariously. But they react. They always react to her. It's kind of like one of those love-hate relationships, just minus the love, with Charlotte. But no, I like what they're doing with her. I have no problem. Queen of the Ring's coming up soon, so it's going to be interesting what they do there. And yeah, I have no problem with Charlotte.
We're definitely going to get into the whole Queen of the Ring stuff and who we might think could be a good winner for all of that. But the queen of WWE right now surely is Charlotte Flair. Botch Guy's a fan. CWrestling, are you a fan of Charlotte Flair right now?
So her in-ring work, yeah, I'm a fan, but I just think the way they book her is awful. I think it's the typical evil queen, just there to put the baby face over all the time. That's her role, and it's been her role for a while. Yeah, it's worked for Rhea Ripley, but how long do you keep going down that same cycle of just evil queen? Someone's going to beat her, and then she comes out the next week still confident. And it's like, I just wonder how long is the expiry date on that gimmick?
Because the gimmick, you're right, has been running for a long time. You can argue it's been running since she came up to the main roster. She wasn't necessarily the queen right away, but that same demeanor of like being the person, carrying herself with like she is the best, right? And that might be for a reason, because you know what? I'm going to get into this. I do think she is the best. I think she is the best WWE right now has to offer for the women's division, and I think there's a reason why she keeps getting back towards that main event picture. So, Botch Guy, for the people who are not a fan of Charlotte Flair out there and what she is doing, could you maybe look through their eyes and start to dive into why they wouldn't like it? Do you have some ideas why they would not be enjoying the Charlotte Flair character? And then we're going to ask CWrestling the opposite.
I don't think it has anything to do with Charlotte Flair, the character. I think it's just Charlotte Flair, the individual. She's been doing the same thing for so long. It's just different little variations of her, just her gimmick, I guess, that she's been doing. The thing is, like Charlotte Flair, like someone like I'm reading your chat right now. LK7, not calling you out. You're a nice guy, okay? But it says Charlotte has never been good. Like, can you go watch AEW when they started the company and watch some of their female wrestlers they had, and then go watch New Japan Pro Wrestling at the beginning, and then go watch ROH, and then also go watch Impact Wrestling. Go watch some of the female, maybe Impact not so much because they had Gail Kim as well, but go watch some of those female divisions, and then go watch NXT, and then go watch WWE. The female wrestlers are so insanely talented, and Charlotte Flair is so stupidly talented, it's not even funny. She was pulling off. Remember when the Divas era was going on, and everybody was like, "Oh, we want to have women wrestling back," and she came back. And then I remember that match started. I think it was the first match, and she did like a moonsault off the top ropes. She did a corkscrew off the top ropes. Like she was doing things that no one was doing. It wasn't even like for females. No one was doing whatsoever. And it's crazy to hear when people are like, "Well, I don't like Charlotte as a wrestler." Okay, you can not like her as a gimmick. You might not like her as a person for whatever reason, but as a wrestler, as a talent, she's probably gonna go down as one of, if not the most talented female wrestler of all time. People understand that, right? Like it's like people don't realize how insanely talented she is. So that's my 2 cents on it, man. That's my 2 cents.
All right, so Botch Guy playing the pros there. So CWrestling, I guess you're going to have to be the con man over here. So some more cons for Charlotte Flair. So obviously that's a bunch of pros, right, when it comes to Charlotte Flair. But what is the negatives, man? Like, what truly is the negatives of Charlotte Flair towards the main event?
She's annoying.
So you take Nikki Ash on Raw this very week. She went into that ring and basically buried her character instantly. Now, okay, Nikki Ash isn't buried. She's perfectly fine. She's going to be fine. But the way she run down the character, made fun of her gimmick, like that's something that you're going to do eventually. Of course it is. But she's played that role now for a few weeks and you've already got probably one of the biggest names in the business calling her out and calling her trash. That doesn't help her at all. She's just become the women's champion and you've just presented her like she's a joke.
Yep. 100% agree with that part right there. And this is where a lot of people said the NWO hurt WCW because let's go back to Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. They were always doing this to the baby faces. They were always dismissing their characters. Every time the babyface tried to be a good person and rise to the top and fighting for the fans, they just go, ooh, I'm so scared, shaking in my boots. And I'm pretty sure Charlotte Flair is giving off the same vibes right now. And that's excellent to put yourself over, and it's excellent to keep you at the top, but it doesn't allow other people to rise up along the way. And so what I do hope is that eventually they will have the babyface beat Charlotte Flair, right? If this comes out with Nikki Cross defeating Charlotte Flair and then they drop Charlotte Flair back down the card like they have in the past, I think it'll be okay. Yes, it's a rinse and repeat storyline, but at least it will get a babyface over in the process. The problem is when Charlotte Flair starts defeating those babyfaces that she puts down doing this. And there's a good chance that happens at SummerSlam as well. Botch Guy, do you agree with that sentiment right there?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fair. I feel like people don't give Charlotte Flair like the respect she gets or deserves just because her character is incredibly annoying. Like if her character wasn't as annoying and maybe if she wasn't a Flair, I feel like people would give her a little bit more of a shot when it comes as a gimmick. But let's not kid ourselves when it comes to the wrestling. There's very few female wrestlers that are as good as her. And yes, what she did with Nikki Ash, like I understand it, I get it. But like again, that's booking, right? That's not Charlotte. That's not Charlotte. I guess unless she goes behind the scenes and says, "Hey, I want to bury Nikki Ash." No, man. Like if you think about it, Nikki Ash won the championship from Charlotte, right? So obviously there's some mutual respect there. So I don't like. I never bought the whole, Charlotte is evil. Everything about her is terrible. It's complete and utter BS. And I'll stick to my guns on that.
Fair enough. So we've got some good points there for Charlotte Flair, both pros and cons, but I'm going to take it to the live chat right now and just do a quick little scroll through of what some people have been saying. So Junpai says, I would say she has exceptional in-ring skills, but mic skills, not really much. In other words, not really a complete package. The standards I'm used to hearing are Becky and Trish. So comparing them to Becky and Trish, Becky's a lot better on the mic than Charlotte is, but I'm going to say that Charlotte Flair can command the audience and turn the audience on her much better than Becky could ever do. Trish Stratus, you know what? Not actually exceptional microphone worker. A lot better in-ring worker than she was on the mic. Let's go here to King of Fate saying that it does give sympathy to the babyface, but it isn't going to work in 10 years' time. So I think he's looking at that as like a long-term booking idea, that this storyline isn't going to do much for the longevity of Nikki Cross's career. That's actually kind of a fair point. We will see. CWrestling Botch Guy, do you see any comments that you want to pick out from the live chat before we move on to the next segment?
I already did. I called someone out already, so I'm passing now.
And I guess last thing would be is she's a bit of a typical heel, but it works for her. So let's finish with that one when it comes to Charlotte Flair. Now let's transition to something kind of exciting. It's pure speculation because I don't actually have any confirmation. I'm sure there's something out there that might be confirmed, but Botch Guy, you made a video on this. CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. Why don't we start with you?
Yeah. So, I guess technically it's not not official, but it's official, right? So Daniel Bryan, let's start with Daniel Bryan. Okay, so Daniel Bryan coming back going to AEW is very interesting because I always thought he was kind of like a culture carrier for WWE. I always thought him kind of in the same mold of a John Cena, maybe not as big as a superstar, but always in that same mold where he's a WWE guy. He's going to be a WWE guy forever. I never saw him as one of the guys who would leave the company. So the fact that he's leaving the company is a huge shock for me. As a wrestling fan, being able to watch Daniel Bryan versus Kenny Omega, Daniel Bryan versus Okada, Daniel Bryan versus Ibushi, the New Japan Pro Wrestling partnership with AEW. Actually, I
Sammy Guevara has me excited.
I kind of wish Daniel Bryan would just go to New Japan because there's like so many wrestlers I want to see him fight there. But I want to see Darby Allin and Daniel Bryan, Sammy Guevara and there's so many dream matches, fun matches. And it's going to be, as a wrestling fan, it's going to be fun to see, no doubt about it. Secondly, CM Punk. So CM Punk, I never thought he was coming back to wrestling. He's going to come back in Chicago. He's going to come back with In Living Color's Cult of Personality. And the entire roof is going to absolutely blow off its place. And I'll say this, I don't know if he can still wrestle, but the UFC training is pretty crazy, probably crazier than wrestling training. So I'm sure he's in good shape. I hope we get the same CM Punk. Like I really do, like the same attitude kind of style, like voice of the voiceless style, because that was my favorite Punk character. And I'm shocked that he's going to AEW. And I said I want to have them come. I wanted them to debut together. Maybe not so much like the entrances together, but I want them to be in the same storyline together when they debut on AEW.
Like versus storyline, CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan, or tagging?
I'm thinking more like just, I don't know, like friends or something. I don't know, like something. I don't know how to book it, but I just want them to be together. I feel like together they could be even bigger than individual stars in that company. At least at the beginning anyway. So I want to see it. I think it's gonna be great. So there you go.
I love it. I'm so excited to see that Daniel Bryan is going over there first and foremost because, like you said, the matches that we can get out of it, it feels very similar to when Daniel Bryan came back to the WWE, and we were looking at the long list of potential matches Daniel Bryan could have, and we were like, okay, can't wait for this one, can't wait for this one, can't wait for this one, and then we got the same type of momentum going over to AEW. We know Bryan can still work. He just worked a fantastic main event with Roman Reigns and Edge at WrestleMania. This guy is going to be fantastic over in AEW, and it is a huge get for them for the in-ring quality. For the actual draw, CM Punk is the much bigger name of the two, and a lot of people are going to be tuning in to see what CM Punk does. And for that reason, I would love to see Daniel Bryan and CM Punk enter into a feud right away when they get there. They're familiar with each other. It would draw a lot of WWE people there, and then you could start a major angle after it, whether it's a new faction with Punk, whether it's a new direction for Daniel Bryan. Anything like that can come out of a match when you have two people that over. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see what happens. CWrestling, what are your thoughts?
Can I just quickly before C, just quickly before you, how about the stable of, you ready here? Andrade, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Moxley, and then Big Show is the manager.
FTR in there. Tay Conti leading the side,
Okay, anyways, continue.
CWrestling, your thoughts on Daniel Bryan and CM Punk?
I like it. I think it's great for AEW. I think Daniel Bryan is the one I'm more excited to see. Again, I think CM Punk, as Botch Guy said, he's been out of wrestling so long. And yeah, he used to be great. We don't know if he's going to be great now. So I kind of also wish it wasn't leaked. I kind of wish that it was just a generic, oh my God, CM Punk is back kind of feeling, because you kind of miss that in wrestling when you get the leaks and everyone knows that this is happening. You can't escape it on the internet. And I think it's a shame because right now they're building to Page versus Omega. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's getting a bit overshadowed because everyone's talking about Punk versus Omega or Bryan versus Omega. And it's like, I want to see Page versus Omega first because they've been building this now for a long time. It's a shame.
Yeah, you're right. It is a bit of a shame, and we do lose a bit of that magic of where is somebody going to show up. Like, we're never going to get the whole Scott Hall and Kevin Nash walking through the crowd and being the outsiders and wondering which company are they with anymore, unfortunately. The wrestling world.
Hey, we got it with Malachi Black.
Well, that, you know what? We did get that. It was a surprise debut, but people were still expecting him to go to AEW. You know, it's just because his contract was not 90 days, it was 30 days, right? Like, so yeah, we got that surprise right there, but people were still heavily speculating that he was going to be there. It just came 60 days earlier. But yeah, like, we're not going to get that true shock value anymore of, oh, which company are they working for? Or like, are they supposed to be here and all that stuff? We know when somebody debuts, they are with a company, but it's still exciting at the bare minimum. With CM Punk, I got to ask you this question though, and we're going to ask Botch Guy this to start things off. Do you think CM Punk's popularity will be the same in AEW, or will it be incredibly different once he debuts? I think, before I pass it off to you, I think he's got a good chance of maintaining that popularity, but he had a strong opponent in the WWE management to go up against. So what do you think there, Botch Guy?
Yes.
You think so? Okay.
CM Punk is like, I think he would be, I know it's going to sound stupid, but like if this was a surprise in secret and he showed up randomly in Chicago, I think the internet would be just on fire and I think would add more interest. But I'll say this, man, CM Punk, the name itself, man, like if he can talk, I like, even if he can't wrestle that well, like if he can talk, if he can still talk and he still has that way of like making a storyline feel real, that's all they need, right? Like I was talking about, like I was in my video, I was talking about like, what does this mean for AEW when it comes to like, is this a needle mover? Remember Conman, we're talking about Christian, and we were talking about Christian. We're like, I said like, this guy's a nice pickup, but he's not a needle mover. Like no one will really care about Christian. Yeah, they like Christian, they like Rusev, but these guys aren't needle movers. They like Andrade. He's not a needle mover. He isn't. I'm sorry, he isn't. I know a lot of people probably disagree on that one, but he's not a needle mover.
I agree.
Daniel Bryan is the biggest name they had, like if they get this. And now on top of that, CM Punk, at the same time, these are needle movers. These are ratings movers. These are guys that are, I am going to watch every single AEW when I'm not working it, because I go to work now, but I will rewatch every single AEW to see what Daniel Bryan and CM Punk does. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. These guys are needle movers for the company. You will see a rating spike from these two guys. I have no doubt in my mind.
And even if they don't see a rating spike from it, they will certainly see a pay-per-view buy rate increased from it. If you announce that CM Punk is going to be on a pay-per-view, if you announce Daniel Bryan's going to be on a pay-per-view, for that $49.99 price tag or whatever, you're going to get a lot more people purchasing it than before. CWrestling, any additional thoughts here when it comes to CM Punk and Daniel Bryan?
Yeah, so I think AEW has to be very careful. And it's just, again, looking at history and looking at what fans do. And I've said this to you, Botch Guy. You look at like WCW, they got a lot of criticism because they pushed the old timers and the people that had the creative control, and they pushed the people who people didn't want to be pushed. And TNA did the exact same thing. Every time people wanted to see Samoa Joe or AJ Styles, they got Jeff Hardy or Jeff Jarrett or Kevin Nash or Booker T. WWE get the same flack for pushing legends like Goldberg over someone like Keith Lee. And AEW, they've spent a long time now building up that core fan base, and they're starting to hit that million consistently. Mm-hmm. They've built that with the roster they've got. If you bring in Punk and Daniel Bryan, without a doubt, they are main roster, main event superstars. You cannot put them on the YouTube channel. You cannot put them in a silly little feud that means nothing like they did with Rusev. You have to kind of keep them at that top tier. And the problem with that is you then have to take people away from that top tier. Yep. Is that then going to annoy the core audience they've built up?
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point there, man. You can't just keep plugging all these ex-WWE guys into AEW, because you got to remember there was a large fan base that could not stand anything WWE did before, whether it was NXT, whether it was main roster, Raw or Smackdown, like could not stand what they would do, and they only watched independent wrestling. They would only watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor only, like so anywhere basically that the Bucks and Kenny went. they did not want to watch anything WWE related. And now you're starting to plug a lot of people from WWE over there. So I guess that brings up a really good question. This is a great transition. Botch Guy, do you think AEW has too many former WWE people?
Yes, I do. I feel like they went a little too heavy on them early on. Personally, like when you're picking up guys like Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, it makes complete sense. When you're picking up guys like Jon Moxley, and obviously Chris Jericho was at the beginning, that made sense too. For
those two were huge.
Push,
we
right?
cannot deny that. Yeah.
Those, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't think you needed the middle guys. I don't think you needed the Christians. I don't think you need the Big Show even on commentary. Mark Henry. I guess maybe these are background culture carriers. Maybe, right? Who knows? Maybe we don't know too much about them.
Could be there for the knowledge.
Yeah, but there's a lot of WWE guys. Like we don't really, they don't really need Rusev. I know people like him, but they don't really need him. Now Andrade is an interesting one. I think actually fits well with the brand. So I actually don't mind that at all. And Aleister Black is just a young, amazing talent. So of course you grab him when you can get him, right? That's a different situation. So I would say yes, but like you gotta be selective now. Like I would actually go out to say like I feel like they should have kind of hyped up. Wow, I just whistled. Holy shit. I didn't know I could do that. I wish they kind of filled up the female division a little bit more, maybe with ex-WWE talent than sold the male division, because I feel like that's where was really lacking for AEW. So like I would love to see, I know like it's crazy because maybe they're not the best wrestlers in the world, but they're entertaining. The Iconics, man. Like I would have loved to see the Iconics on AEW. I think it fits them really well. So like that's my 2 cents on it.
Interesting little loop right there. So definitely they've brought in a lot of ex-WWE people, but it sounds like, most of them are being used on the roster in a certain way, right? Like you were going through those names and I'm like, most of those names are being used in a big way on AEW, and it seems like they're pretty popular with the fans as well. CWrestling, what do you think about this whole AEW having too much WWE talent thing?
I don't mind it. I think wrestlers are wrestlers. If they wasn't wrestling in AEW after being released, there'll be an impact on New Japan. It's just another place to work. I don't mind them being ex-WWE guys. I think they just need to focus on who they've got. We always talk about the fact WWE hoards talent. AEW's roster is bigger than Raw's and SmackDown's. Their signed, contracted roster. And then they still fill Dark and Elevation with enhancement talent. So you're not putting your stars on the screen. And that's one of the issues WWE faced for a hell of a long time. Mm-hmm. So I do feel like they've got too many people. Doesn't really matter that they've got too many WWE superstars, though.
Okay, fair enough. That's actually a really good point, because you're right. Once you're released from WWE, you're not a WWE superstar anymore. Yes, you're an ex-WWE superstar, but you still got to go out there. You got to build up your own name again. I mean, heck, look at Matt Cardona, the former Zack Ryder, winning the GCW championship from Nick Gage. Like, come on. That's a resurgence of a career and going out there and making a new name for yourself. So same with Malachi Black. He's going to try to make a new name. Andrade's going to try to make himself a new name, and everybody. Miro's done a good job. So, you know what? It's interesting there. I like that point, that once they leave WWE, they'd go wrestle somewhere else. So why not see what they can do in the second biggest company? Let's transition here to the Queen of the Ring tournament, which has been rumored for a little bit. And it sounds like, according to this tweet that CWrestling sent me earlier, take this with a grain of salt because I don't actually know for sure, but it sounds like the finals of the Queen of the Ring tournament could be held in Saudi Arabia. CWrestling, what do you like to add to this?
I think it's brilliant. I really think that doing a Queen of the Ring is huge. Then to do the finals in Saudi Arabia kind of is groundbreaking. We've had the first women's match there. Yep. This is like a historic moment that will be referred to in 10, 15, 20 years time. And it will be, it's in Saudi. And as much as we hate the political side of the Saudi Arabia deal, you have to think, if you are a 10-year-old girl or a 10-year-old boy sitting in that fan in the audience for that event, you're going to see a woman presented in that way. That's going to stay with you for the rest of your life. And in 20, 30, 40 years time, that's when Saudi Arabia as a country changes. And WWE being a part of that is insane.
It was the whole reason WWE wanted to go over there to begin with, and it was the whole thing behind the first women's match and pushing for the first women's match in Saudi Arabia. You know, we were talking about blood money and blood on their hands and all this stuff and the political aspects of the propaganda show and all this thing, but this is a good thing to come out of the Saudi Arabia deal. There's no two ways about it. If this ends up happening, if there is a Queen of the Ring tournament finals in Saudi Arabia, I am so here for it. That would be huge. Just, I bet you, looking out into the crowd and seeing, like you said, a 10-year-old girl watching, tears down her eyes because she realizes that, hey, this is possible. This is a dream. I could do this myself. Yeah, that's how Sasha Banks got into it, by watching wrestling. There is absolutely zero reason a little girl over in Saudi Arabia couldn't have the same moment through this event. Botch Guy, your thoughts on the Queen of the Ring tournament?
You guys actually completely stole my thunder there, so good job. Perfect. You guys said it perfectly. There's nothing else I could possibly say. I agree 100% with both of your opinions.
Lovely, lovely stuff. And let's transition here to our last major talking point of the day. I missed this, so it's going to be up to you guys to fill me in. What happened between Finn Balor, Roman Reigns, and John Cena? CWrestling, want to take it away?
Yeah, it came out of literally nowhere. It was like an RKO, literally out of nowhere. So Cena obviously challenged Roman. Roman came out and just said no. Interestingly, he said no because it's the same John Cena. It's a John Cena of old. He's not changed. He's not done anything. So no reason to face you. And then with that, Finn Balor came out and Balor basically challenged Roman. And Roman said, yeah, okay, you're up.
Sweet.
What? Like, that was complete shock. Complete shock.
Botch Guy, your feelings on this?
Like, okay.
Here we go.
I'm happy Finn Balor is getting an opportunity on the main stage again. I just don't understand why he's going to be fodder for a Roman Reigns. And I mean fodder. CWrestling. He is not beating Roman Reigns. He's not. If he does, not even a small package will happen. Okay, so he's fodder. Like he's gonna have a great match with them, but you know what's gonna happen. Cena's gonna do something, or something's gonna happen that match doesn't end the way it's supposed to end. It's not gonna be a clean match. And if Roman Reigns does beat him clean, well, then you're just doing the same thing with what you did with Keith Lee, and you know, like really. Keith Lee is just, who cares? Like already 2 matches in. Hello, see you later. And Karrion Kross, don't even get me started on that. That's another 10-hour round. But I'll say this, man. Finn Balor, I'm happy he's in the main stage. I really am happy he's getting a legitimate storyline and push. I just don't think it should have been this one. I don't think this Roman Reigns one makes sense for him. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of the storyline. I'm a fan of Finn Balor.
Feels very similar to when Finn Balor got called up the first time, being thrusted right into the Universal title picture, and here he is again, thrusted right into the Universal title picture. Everybody said Balor has no chance against Seth Rollins for the Universal title, and he won it from Seth Rollins.
No, that's not true. I said, go back to my history records. I said Finn Balor was going to win.
Were you on YouTube back then?
Probably not.
So how do I go back to your records?
Go back to my mind, okay, and stay back in the day, and I'll tell you. I thought Finn was going to win. I thought they wanted to create a star, so it made sense that he was going to win. I also thought Paige was going to win her first match with the title as well. So I think the WWE likes to do that type of stuff once in a while, but never saw the Kevin Owens.
That Kevin Owens thing with
Kevin Owens. It was
Kevin Owens with John Cena. Is that what you're thinking?
Samoa Joe. Yeah, Samoa Joe worked for.
Huh? Okay, I'm thinking of Kevin Owens' debut with the whole John Cena raising the title up. Is that what you're talking about?
No. Okay, I'm talking about Samoa Joe outside the ring helping out Kevin Owens win his first ever Universal Championship. That happened, right?
Triple H. That's what you're thinking of. Triple H helping Kevin Owens to win his first Universal title.
Yeah, that was Triple H.
Yeah, that's Triple H. Yeah, he pedigreed. Who was it in the ring? It was aligned with. Was it with Rollins? Did he pedigree?
Samoa Joe debut WWE.
Yeah, I think it was Seth.
Yeah. I can't remember
what Samoa Joe.
Which story are you talking about? No, I think we're thinking of different stories here.
Seth Rollins.
Okay, we're totally thinking of different stories.
Wait, what am I
was
doing?
confused with Kevin Owens. It's all good.
Wait, what am I thinking? Okay, whatever. Anyways, you guys are right. Let's just say you guys are right.
All right. Well, let's get into the mailbag. Dun, 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 dun. That's going to be the music every single week. The mailbag, everyone.
I completely botched. It wasn't Kevin Owens.
He's the Botch guy. But the mailbag this week, guys, if you do not know what we are doing, every single week we are going to post a tweet over on the tweeter machine, and we're going to ask you guys what your questions are for this week's mailbag. So if you got a question for me, if you got a question for Botch Guy, if you got a question for CWrestling, you can ask it over on Twitter. So the first one that we have here is from Kevin Langoff. A question for CWrestling. Would you prefer The Fiend on a regular basis or Bray going to The Fiend a few times a year like Finn turns into the Demon persona in his NXT days?
So I think The Fiend should be a regular character. I think the only issue they have is right now he's not been on TV for a long time, and I think it's been too long. But I think he should have periodic gaps off of television. I think he should be one of those characters like a Brock Lesnar that is brought in for the big shows. And you use Funhouse Bray, use the promos and pre-record things and stuff, and you build to it that way. And then if nothing's happening in February, maybe there's a legend for The Fiend to come out completely at random on Raw and attack out of nowhere. You don't see it coming. That kind of stuff is what needs. You need the unpredictability with a character.
Fair enough. Botch Guy, do you actually think CM Punk and Daniel Bryan are signed with AEW? This is from Christian Vega.
Yes, I think it's a done deal. And I don't know if they're going to debut together, but CM Punk, I would be in complete shock if he doesn't debut in Chicago. I think that's going to happen. As for Daniel Bryan, I don't know how they're going to debut him, but I just have a feeling they're going to do it together somehow.
Here's a question from Big Tiger, and he's got a statement to start off followed by a question. He says, I personally don't think Cross's run of poor luck on Raw is meant to be a burial of NXT. I think it's probably that Cross has some backstage heat that we don't know about, but that's just my theory. What do you think? Let's start with CWrestling. Do you think Cross has some backstage heat?
No, I don't think so. I think if he did, he wouldn't be called up. I think it's just them making sure he's not an undefeated superstar. I don't think Vince likes the whole undefeated thing. I think they've learned from The Fiend. I think they've learned from Asuka. When you end people's streaks, people do not like it. Even Mansoor. When Mansoor debuted on Raw, people were not happy the fact he lost. So, but at the same point, do you really want Mansoor being undefeated?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think you've got an issue with that. So I think they're just making sure that he's booked well rather than booked strongly.
Botch Guy, same question. Do you think Cross has backstage heat?
I don't know. I just think it's stupid booking. I don't think it's heat related so much. I just think it's like, I think Vince, like if for anybody that thinks that Vince McMahon cares about NXT, like Vince doesn't give a F about NXT, like doesn't care at all. Like not even 1%. Like remember when Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa came up and they had a feud going on in NXT and they were best butts on the main roster for a night? Like, remember that?
Yeah.
Like,
I remember that.
He doesn't care. Vince doesn't care. So when Karrion Kross loses that first match, setting up a storyline, who cares? Because you just completely made him not interesting on NXT because you made him lose on the main roster, which is supposed to be the more superior talent. Remember, it might not be, but it's supposed to be the main roster, is supposed to be a bigger thing. So having him lose in his first night to one of the Hardy Boys who's like 177 years old, right? It doesn't make sense. It's just buries the character to the ground. And yes, he won the other night, burying Keith Lee, who just came back losing his 2 matches in a row. Like,
well, Botch Guy,
like,
you want me to help?
NXT.
You want me to help boil that blood? Apparently, the rumor was that if Jeff Hardy actually hadn't contracted COVID-19, he was going to beat Cross again. Cross is going to lose his first 2 matches on the main roster. That's the rumor going around. Like, kind of ridiculous when it comes to carrying
They
Cross.
took his entrance and
They don't even let him beat his chest
What's
the
her-
same way he does in
Scarlett
NXT.
from us. They took Scarlett from us.
But that's where I think it's going. Genuinely, I think there's the story. I think Scarlett will join him and he'll become
Right.
the machine he was.
Sexy.
But-
Scarlett's
but,
gonna
okay, so
join
let
him
me
when
throw this
everybody
out here.
doesn't care about him
Let me
anymore.
throw
Nice.
this out there then. They had Keith Lee take the fall. When they were ready to give Jeff Hardy the win over him again, they were like, Keith Lee, no, we don't care about him either, so let's just let him take the fall. And like, nobody came out of that match better, right? Nobody did.
The match sucked too. On top of it, like it didn't work. Like, oh my god, I cannot put like I was watching NXT and I'm like, I don't care about Karrion Kross at all anymore. Like, I'm sorry, it took all my interest away. I know it shouldn't, but it's true. Why should I care about him being so tough on NXT when he gets called up and loses to No Way Jose? Like, it doesn't make sense. So I don't know.
No way, Jose. Well, let's get back to the mailbag. So last question here, and it's been a question that was asked by like 5 or 6, actually second last question, my bad. Who's your favorite wrestler, Botch Guy? It was asked by a bunch of people.
AJ Lee.
AJ Lee. CWrestling, who's yours?
The Fiend.
The Fiend. There we go. And now the final question, everyone, and this is from Samuel Vlogs. Says, hey, Con, should the Lucha House Party win the tag titles with Damian Priest as the newest member of the group? If they do, will you ETL? No!
Yes.
No, I will not.
You can't see
ETL.
me, but I'm doing Daniel Bryan's yes chant.
You cannot do that to me. You cannot put Damian Priest with the Loser House Party. Come on. Enough of that garbage over there.
I'm gonna pay for a cameo.
Imagine his
with
mask.
the Lucha House Party for you and meeting them up, Connie. I'm gonna do it.
It's not what I want to see. Can I rip my eyeballs out?
Can we do a GoFundMe for Lucha House Party cameo with Conman, please?
GoFundMe to eliminate my eyesight. If we can reach $100,000, exactly what Baron Corbin is aiming for, I will rip my eyeballs out and I will never, ever, ever have to watch the Loser House Party wrestle again.
Hey, Con, though, you got to give some credit. Lindsay Dorado's Kane mask looks pretty cool, doesn't it?
Okay, his mask's pretty cool, but he still sucks!
Embrace the Lucha.
Never. ETL can die in a hole, man. FTL for life. But that is going to do it for us here today. Thank you so much for watching the UnNamed Wrestling Podcast. This is a joy being able to chat wrestling with you guys every single week. Botch Guy, what do you have coming up on your channel?
Well, if you amazing people in chat can go over to my channel and go watch my most recent video I just posted literally about 2 hours ago, and leave a like if you do enjoy it, and subscribe if you haven't. That would be amazing. It's a different style completely. I did something different, and it would be amazing if every one of you guys go over there and leave a like, and or at least see if you like it, leave a like and go check it out. Other than that, it's just the usual. I had my stream the other day and I rated you, and I'm not sure if.
Oh, you rated me? Oh, I totally missed that part. Whoops, my bad.
I'm doing every Wednesday, right? So that's the plan, and it's just videos and
more videos. CWrestling, what do you got going on over there? Videos, and more videos?
Pretty much, yeah. I've got 2 theory videos coming out tomorrow and Sunday. Quite cool ones. Tomorrow's about Alexa Bliss, and Sunday's about Bray Wyatt. So some things coming up.
Want to give us a little teaser for that Alexa Bliss one?
No.
I tried, my friends. I tried. I know that everybody wanted a teaser, but you got to go over and actually watch the video from CWrestling. So look forward to that.
Bray Wyatt video? Interesting.
Any streams for either of you guys this week?
No, I work too much. I have no life anymore.
And see?
I'm supposed to be streaming Friday, but I'll see how I feel.
We'll see how you feel.
If I decide.
Well, my man, we will see if you are going to be joining us live there then on Friday. I got another thing here tonight going on. We will be live with the Monday Night War watch along. We're watching the August 5th, 1996 edition of Monday Night Raw. So come join us. Shawn Michaels gives a sit-down interview. Ahmed Johnson versus Farouk in the main event. Guys, it's one you don't want to miss. Check it out. We'll be live right after this show. But thank you so very much for watching. I cannot wait to see you join me over there. Till next week, everyone. Take care. Leave that like. Make sure you subscribe to all of our channels. Follow us on Twitter, Botch Guy, CWrestling. All the links are down in the description below. Take care, everybody.
Embrace the Lucha.
FTL. F the Lucha. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching the UnNamed Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast with no name. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.